Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Serrera. I'm the program director for the high school after school club. That's like a crazy long title. The easiest thing to remember is if you hear us ever say ASC or the high school program, when we're talking at ARYSE, usually we're talking about the high school after school club. Let me share my screen. As I was saying a little bit earlier, I really value all of your time. The reality is that we can't do this program without your support. And I know that the mentors that have been involved in this program before are excited about the program and the relationships that they get to build with our students. We actually have a lot of returning mentors that are really interested in staying a part of it. Maria, actually, who is in this picture here on the right, told me that in her last semester at Duquesne, she planned all of her classes around being able to volunteer with us. So hopefully that excites you a little bit about the experience that you're going to have as a part of the program. And I really mean it when I say that I value you, and things get a little crazy and chaotic at times at program. But I hope you know that whether it's now, if you have questions about anything that's happening during this training, or whether it's later on, if you want to ask about the work that we do in the organization, if you want to talk more about just like your own professional career interests or anything like that, I would be more than happy to be a resource, and I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with you and kind of walk through all those things. And I'd like you to think about someone in your life that has been a mentor to you. So that can be someone from a while ago, that can be someone today. And I want you to think about the question, why have you thought of that person? What do they mean to you? And I guess kind of related to that, how have they impacted you?
Yeah, I think something that Kyle and I both were talking about in ours was our mentors taught us like the skills that we're learning in whatever situation, whether it be like a high school drama class or a piano lesson, that those are skills that apply to like a life too. You know, it's like using those skills in other ways. So, you know, like encouraging you to be disciplined in whatever for me, it was piano practice, but then my piano teacher would encourage me to like think about how that applies to schoolwork, but also just like daily life, and, giving examples from his own life that worked and, seemed authentic to me.
And since Andrew brought me into it, I'll jump in, sort of follow up, and we'll do our breakout session, get it out of the way. Another thing that I think we both had in our experiences with sort of the most important mentors in our life was they both nurtured us and encouraged us, but also challenged us to grow in a really supportive way, without making us feel inadequate, like saw where our potentials were and helped us overcome self-perceived limitations and push ourselves to accomplish things that maybe we wouldn't have expected to accomplish on our own.
That's a really good one. I love that idea of challenged us and pushed us beyond like our own self-perceived limitations. That's awesome.
I think going along with that, we talked a little bit about accountability, and honesty was one that I experienced with an advisor that I had in college, who I initially didn't think I was going to like very much, because he was very honest with me about, what I needed to do and what he saw me feeling. And so, but then I ended up really appreciating that, because he was able to keep me accountable for the things that I needed to do and wanted to do, but just like was procrastinating because I was overwhelmed. And he was like, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to keep you accountable to do this, and I'm going to be here to help you, like to guide you through doing this, which was really nice.
I think jumping off that as well is this idea that your mentor is there for you no matter what. So we talked a lot about stressful times and times where you face failure, your mentor's there for guidance as well.
I think for me, the mentor that I always immediately think of is one of my mentors in college, because kind of along the idea of mentors are there for you no matter what. My senior year was just like a really difficult year for me for a number of different reasons. I was trying to figure out like my own career path, and I just had a lot of like personal life things going on. And I know that I never felt judged, and I never felt that they were looking down on me, but I always felt like they wanted to be supportive. And that's always something that the reason I think of them every single time I ask this question is because that meant so much to me.
I think for me, like one of like the biggest things, like my mentor was like my cousin. She's like ahead of me like 7 years. It's like learning from their past mistakes so you don't repeat it. So it's kind of like when someone's like already been through that and then they've gone through like the mistakes and hardship, you can learn from that rather than you having to deal with it yourself.
One of the things I always think of is like part of the reason why I love spending time with younger people is because I'm like, oh, I would love to be able to help you learn the things that I learned just faster so that you don't have to learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're able to receive that, because like honestly, that's really hard to do sometimes. Like people give you advice and you're just like, nah. At least I feel like I can look back on my life and, you know, hindsight's 2020. You see it later and are like, oh, I guess I should have listened.
Yeah, so it's like I wish I could just go back in time and then have like the same mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all for sharing that. And I think one of the things that make all of these things possible is this idea of trust, right? And you have to build relationships to be able to have these kinds of interactions with your mentors. The reason that I say that and I have us do this activity is because I think that for me, my general philosophy on, sorry, hold on. I started the slideshow, but did not share my screen. I think my general philosophy for mentoring is that it's all relationship based. The more that you get to know the students, the more that you're able to build trust. And it doesn't even really matter what you're doing, because as long as you're spending time with them and trying to be supportive, I feel like you find yourself in a place where the students begin to trust you. The students begin to expect that you're going to be around. And because you have that level of trust with them, you're able to delve into so many deeper things. They'll be willing to open up with you about the things going on in their life. They'll feel more comfortable sharing, you know, the dreams that they have that they might be a little nervous about talking about because other people in their life tell them that they can't do it. Or they'll feel more comfortable talking to you about things like the way that other students treat them at school, or things going on with that. And so the reason that I like to talk about that is, especially in this moment, I think everything is kind of in disarray, and everything is kind of in this moment of chaos where things are changing and we don't really know what's going on, and we're adjusting to this new like digital way of life where we don't get to see the people that we saw every day. And some of us, that means that we don't have that many people physically around us that we're able to feel close to. And the reason that I value you all so much is because your presence makes all of these kinds of things that we just talked about possible. And I'm really excited to hear that feedback, because it makes me think that we're all kind of on the same page with the way that we view mentoring. And that gets me really excited, because the more buy-in we have from all of you, the better our program becomes. I'll tell you, even in just the last week or two since school started, I was thinking through when we were going to start the program, when we were going to be able to have mentors on board. And I've been helping some of our students with homework and kind of helping them navigate a few other things that are just going on in their life. And like my day from like 3 o'clock right after school ends until like 8 o'clock each night has been like booked up solid. I know that our students are ready to have you in their lives and are ready to build these relationships with you. And I'm really excited about the possibilities. So before everything, I want to thank you all for being here and wanting to be a part of our family.